Who will win this war? Right now, the US-Israel side is still more likely to win the military fight, but that is not the same thing as winning the whole war. Because Iran does not need to own the sky. It just needs to stop everyone else from finishing this clean. This is not just a scoreboard war. It's about time, range, shipping, and alliances. And the war is already bigger than people think. It's into its second month. The Houthis are active again, Lebanon is active again, and Gulf states are no longer just watching. Hormuz is now part of the war itself. On paper, though, the US and Israel side is stronger. America spent about $997 billion on its military in 2024. Israel spent about $46.5 billion. Iran spent about $7.9 billion. Saudi Arabia alone spent about $80.3 billion. So if this stays short, the balance is obvious, and you can already see that edge in the way they fight. Washington has already burned through hundreds of Tomahawks. That tells you what kind of war this is. Long range, precision heavy, standoff. No romance, no heroics, just relentless pressure. That's how a side fights when it thinks it can break you without marching into your capital. And when that side needs to defend itself, it leans on systems like Patriot. That matters because this war keeps forcing expensive defenses to answer incoming threats again and again. That is a dangerous rhythm in any long war. So yes, if the question is who has better air power, surveillance, integration, and long-range strike, that answer is still the US side. Washington thinks this can be done without ground troops, and in weeks, not months. But Iran is not trying to win that kind of war. Its play is uglier and smarter. Iran does not need to own the sky. It needs enough launchers left, enough missiles left, enough drones left, enough allied pressure left, and enough trade pain left that every victory against it still feels unfinished. That is how a weaker side survives a stronger one. Look north. Hezbollah keeps Israel looking north. Look south. The Houthis keep the Red Sea nervous. That is not side drama. That is the map being stretched on purpose. And now the map is stretching even harder. And then there's the Gulf. This is where the war stops being just regional and starts touching the rest of the planet. Hormuz is one of the most important energy choke points on Earth. That's why one tanker scare matters, one closure threat matters, one shipping restriction matters. Because once that lane tightens, the shock does not stay local. US gas prices pushed above $4 a gallon. Brent exploded higher in March, and Hapag-Lloyd says this war is costing it about $40 to $50 million every week. That's one shipping giant. One. So even when Iran is under heavier military pressure, it can still make this war expensive for everybody else. That's why the short war version and the long war version are basically two different wars. In the short war version, the coalition keeps hitting launchers, radars, ports, and command nodes faster than Iran can adapt. That's the version where the stronger side gets the cleaner outcome. In the long war version, different story. Now every interceptor matters. Every tanker reroute matters. Every refinery scare matters. Every week of high oil matters. Every Houthi strike, every Hezbollah flare-up, every Gulf base scare. Not by beating the stronger side in one giant battle, but by making winning feel more expensive every single day. And there is one more ugly lever here, Karg Island. About 90% of Iran's oil exports pass through it. So, yes, on a map, it looks decisive. But in real life, that kind of target can turn into a trap. So, when people say Iran has no path here, they're using the wrong definition of success. So, here's the real answer. If the fighting stays mostly airborne, maritime, and relatively short, the US and Israel side is still more likely to come out ahead. So who will win this war? Today, the edge still leans Israel. But the longer this drags, the more expensive that answer becomes. And sometimes the side that cannot win cleanly is still fully capable of making sure nobody else does either.